Over the past nearly 25 years, Linux distributions have come in many forms. Early editions of the Linux kernel with its accompanying GNU software tools were passed around on floppy disks or shared on bulletin board systems or Usenet. Today, Linux is all but completely ubiquitous. It is the operating system running some of the world's largest supercomputers, as well as some of the world's smallest embedded systems and mobile devices. The flexibility of the kernel and the availability of a limitless amount of tools and programs has allowed Linux to show up everywhere from huge web platforms to your DVR. A Linux distribution is a collection of tools and programs packaged up with a kernel by some group of maintainers. Distributions may be commercial, like Red Hat's Enterprise Linux, or volunteer-based, like Debian. Distributions can provide any number of packages and software components in their releases as long as the licensing on the software itself allows for redistribution. This model allows for a lot of variation among distributions, and finding the distribution that meets your needs might take some experimentation. Red Hat is the commercial behemoth of the Linux world. Red Hat has been distributing Linux since 1994. Along the way, it has spawned a couple of other projects. Currently, Fedora and CentOS are still around, which serve as the forward and lagging companion distributions to RHEL. You may also find that some of the cloud custom Linux distributions look distinctly similar to Red Hat and its derivatives, using the Yum toolset and the same file system layout. SUSE is another large commercial vendor of Linux. Started in Germany in 1992, SUSE started out as a distribution of Slackware Linux translated to German. The company now has a number of enterprise-grade Linux-based solutions and also integrates with enterprise software like SAP. Slackware itself is still around, being the oldest Linux distribution still in existence, and shying away from additional custom tools and graphical bits. It's pretty bare bones, and not for the faint of heart. The Debian project started distributing Linux in 1993. Still governed and maintained by more than 1,000 volunteers, Debian tends to be more conservative on how often software components are updated in the distribution. Ubuntu is a common derivative of Debian, started as a project in 2004. Ubuntu is commercially supported by Canonical and has a reputation for being a reliable desktop Linux. There are a number of other Linux distributions available. Linux Mint is another Debian and Ubuntu-derived distribution that focuses on the desktop and provides some proprietary software in its releases to support multimedia user experiences. This is unusual in that most distributions don't actually provide proprietary software in their default configurations, sticking mostly to free and open-source software. Arch Linux is another distribution started in 2002. It's not related or derived from the others listed here, and has its own set of package management tools and package binaries. Gentoo Linux doesn't even do packages, preferring instead to build all of the software from source code and allow the user to customize it for their environment. There's a huge number of derivatives and sister distributions to many of these. Some focus on using a different kind of user experience or window manager. Others focus on being small or bootable from flash devices. The Linux distribution that is right for you and your own personal use is totally up to your preferences. There are different distributions if you want a stable, long-lasting release versus the most up-to-the-minute software packages. There are different distributions if you are planning to use Linux primarily in a commercial infrastructure as a service or a cloud environment. There are different distributions if you are entirely focused on the most natural and delightful desktop experience. DistroWatch.com is a website that contains more information about what Linux distributions are available and what each of them offer. If you are hoping to pursue a career in working with and managing Linux systems, it's probably best not to start out with one of the esoteric distributions. They're a lot of fun to learn and have some interesting quirks, but for new users, try out the mainline distros first to build up your skills. Use your local job site to determine how popular different distributions are in your region. Some distributions end up with more popularity in different parts of the world. Regardless of which distribution you end up choosing, don't be afraid to experiment. Try different distros, change your interfaces, or build yourself different services just to learn and deal with.